We haven't talked to you since Wednesday, obviously. Did you feel like that was one of your guys' best games, if not the best game you've played this season?
I thought it was the best game considering we played in a away arena. I think it's probably one of the best games we've played since I've been here. Maybe Davidson the year before, maybe Dayton the year before for 2/3 of the game, and that one. So at some point you have to win those games, put your big boy pants on to be a contender and not a pretender. So I felt like that was a big moment for us. So now can we capitalize on it and do it again and again and again and again? So there's 3 parts of turning a program around. The first is a long-winded answer to.
I don't mind.
The first part is to be consistently in the mix in games so that you can win games. The next part is to become a championship level team. And the third part is to be a consistent championship level team. So we're still in the consistently pretty good stage, but we haven't shown yet that we're championship level. And then once we become championship level, then we have to take the third step, which is really difficult as well. They're all hard.
How much is making shots part of that? You made shots that game.
Well, we've made 34% of our threes in the league, which is pretty good for us. I think we're almost 32% in total. So the more we make shots, the more our assist total is up, the more we'll make shots, and then that makes you better defensively. I told our guys going into the game that we have to be super aggressive defensively. Super aggressive. So we created a lot of opportunities on offense because we stole the ball and we scrapped for rebounds. And so while our offensive numbers look better, some of those are because of transition to defense.
Talk about consistency, especially after that game, and you find consistency with the team. When you go on a win like that, in your experience, have you found that teams gain confidence and consistency from wins like that?
I think the hard part this time of the year is you don't get much practice. So we couldn't really do anything yesterday. We could have, but it was kind of pointless, right? So we kind of lifted and rested, and then we one-day prep. So, it's a hard prep because St. Bonaventure does a lot of things. So in order to get consistency, you have to be consistent in practice, which I thought we started slow today, but we were a little better at the end.
After that tough stretch where you lost the 3 straight, how encouraged have you been just overall with the bounce back effort from this club to win a couple?
Well, I think that's the key in life, right? I mean, when you get punched in the stomach, in the face, in the head, how are you going to react? Do you really have it, or are you going to put the white flag up? And so, we played 2 of the 3 better teams in the league. We played Dayton and Rhode Island. And then we didn't play a very good game against UMass, and they played a pretty good game. So I would have been surprised if we didn't fight back. But this is no different than any other high-quality league. If you're 10-8 in the league, you're pretty good, right? If you're 11-7, you're a little better. And anything above that, you're a pretty good team. So it's no different. It's all relevant, right? We're going to be a 3 or 4 mid league, right? And so the 10-8 teams in the ACC and the 10-8 teams in the Big Ten are pretty good teams. And then what you got to try to do is avoid losing to the 6-12s or 5-13s. And then you got to try to sneak out some against the really good teams.
Keith, you mentioned the necessity of getting more bodies on the floor after the LaSalle game, and you brought 10 out against St. Louis. How important was it for you to act on what you said at the LaSalle game to get those bodies and have them make those contributions?
Well, it's important if you tell the guys you're going to play them and you don't. At some point they're not going to believe the words you say. And, I've always liked Evan Buckley. I think he's a tough kid. I think he's got a lot of guts. He's got a lot of toughness. It's just been hard to get everybody in. And it's hard to judge practice because he guards Sincere every day. So you can't tell whether he's good or not, but my gut all along told me that he was. And then I've always liked Ashton Miller. He just hasn't put the ball in the basket. And I've always liked Rotroff. Rotroff's just, it's just a matter of, the hard part with Rotroff is we can only play him with Marcus and Mike, and mostly Marcus, because when you have Roach in with Bailey, you're a little bit slow to guard that 4 spot. So that's been the issue. It's easier if you started him. It's a little harder to get him in there when Bailey's the first guy in. But Rotroff's going to be a good player. Don't underestimate him. Those big guys come in leaps and bounds, and he's a good player.
It seems like that, playing a lot of guys, it seems like that has more to do with the bench rest. Am I right, or is it just like habit that? Like, it seems like there's more to it.
Well, I think there's two parts. I think we won a lot of games at Akron because at the end of the game, most people were playing 8, we were playing 10 and 11. So at the end of the game, our better players were fresher than their better players, right? And then the second part of it is, in order to win, you have to have great team camaraderie. And when you're only playing 7 or 8 guys, it's difficult to have great team camaraderie because those guys don't feel part of it, right? And those guys that I mentioned, they're some of the highest quality people we have on our team. When you talk about those 3 young men, they're high-level people. So they haven't played all that much, and they haven't complained one step of the way, right? So that, as a coach, that's difficult too, because you believe that they're good players, and then you don't get them in the game, and you feel bad about it, right? And you feel like that they can help you. So I need to find ways to get them in the game. The hard part is when you lose, it's not hard to get guys in the game because you're going to make changes. When you're winning, it's a little harder to make a lot of changes. But you have to fight your resistance to it.
Is that as good a game as Mike Hughes has played?
What's that now?
Is that as good a game as you've seen Mike Hughes play last game?
I've seen him play better, but he was active. When he's active defensively, we've got something special. He can steal the ball, he can block the shots. I think psychologically, like St. Louis knew they couldn't punk us, right? And I think that's a big deal against St. Louis because they punk most people, right? But they knew that they couldn't just, bully us like they do most people. So every game's a different matchup. This is more of a finesse game. That was a very physical game. But Mike's been good. When Mike's good, we're good. When Mike's average, we're average. And when Mike's below average, we're below average. I don't want to simplify it, but that's pretty much how it is.
Has he been locked in the last couple
He's been
games?
better in practice. It's funny, but it's an old adage, but it's true. When he's good in practice, he'll play good in the game.
What does a game like St. Louis prove towards that with you being good at practice? You believe in the virtue of practice, but where are the guys in understanding the value of having good practice?
So that's been the biggest, probably the biggest struggle, is teaching them how to be champions and convincing. Young people are different today. They don't care how many you've won. They don't care, much about anything other than the immediate now. So they may not see it like I see it. So I have to keep educating, attacking them one by one, getting one guy to believe in it, then the next guy, and then the next guy, until they win a championship. Will they really believe me? It's easier not to, right? It's easier to say, oh, we're just, my way's better. But, that's what every coach in the country faces at all levels now, right?
Keith, when did you feel like this is a program and a team that wouldn't get pumped by teams like St. Louis?
Well, I think, physically we've been there for a while. We've gotten better physically. We're still a little light in the shorts in the backcourt. But I thought, it's funny because our coaching staff talked after the game, and I thought that St. Louis game was a culmination of 2.5 years of work for us. To go on the road with a good crowd and finish the job. Now, we've been there close before, but we've never finished the job. So there's no secret to this. You just got to keep good timing, keep working, keep getting better players, never give up, never believe what people say that you can't win if you can, and just keep fighting like a dog. And eventually, if you keep working and you don't give up and you get good enough players, there's no reason you can't win. But that was 2.5 years of work to get to that point. And we were good enough to beat some of the marginal teams, and, but finally we beat a good team on the road. And that's not to degrade anybody else that we've beaten on the road, but we haven't beaten the upper echelon teams in this league on the road. And that was the first time.
From what you've seen on film, Keith, how does this Bonaventure team compare with Oshuni, who's capable of getting a double-double any game, facing some special guards like a Lofton, and how do you kind of go against that?
Well, they haven't lost a game that the Sunnis played more than 18 minutes. They have not lost when he plays 18 minutes or more. It kind of tells you how important he is. So he reminds me of when we had Zeke Marshall at Akron. Like he changes the game at the defensive end. And then offensively, there's no defense at the rim. He's so big and long. So they became a really good defensive team when he got there, and they're not such a great defensive team when he's not playing. Now they're good, but they're not that good. And then you're talking about an experienced coach. They're very similar to us. You know, they play a little bit more zone, but overall they're a very similar team to us. They're built at the defensive end. They have winning mentality. I mean, they're a good team. They're one of the better teams in the league. They just lost games because he didn't play. So they played Dayton without him. They played VCU without him, and I think Rhode Island without him. Right? They're not beating those teams without him. Now with him, they got a chance to beat anybody.
With that kind of rim protector, you're going to be looking for outside shooting again. And
it's a good question. I mean, the other game they lost against Buffalo, he got fouled trouble. So we can't be afraid to go in there. That's our deal. Like sometimes a good running team in football that won't run the ball against a good, rushing defense, they make a mistake because they try to do something that they don't do well. We have to pit our good against their good, and then we have to have an alternative plan. You can't just, if it doesn't go, then we got to go a different direction, which we're capable of. We're capable of spreading out and letting Sincere drive it. So my theory on basketball is the really, really great teams can play a variety of ways. They can play man, they can play zone, they can play slow, they can play fast, they can throw it inside, they can score outside. And on certain nights, you got to find the way to win. So we have to find a way to beat St. Bonaventure. Simple as that. Now we played 4 times since I've been here, and 3 of the games went to the wire. The 4th game we played without Sincere there wasn't such a great game, but it was still a 10-point game till the very end. So we're capable, and that's when they had, 2 years ago they had a really good team. So we're capable, but it's going to be a grindy, tough man's game. It'll be a good game.
Coach, Marcus had one of his better games of the season on Wednesday. Can you pinpoint how his game has grown on both sides of the ball?
Well, he's in better shape. He's finishing much better around the rim. He's more confident. I think the best is yet to come for him. He's going to have some bad moments, but as we get him in better shape and we expand his game, he should be like Draymond Green. That's really who he should be. He should be able to make the outside shot. He should be a good passer. He should be able to defend 1 through 5. He's not all the way there yet, but if he takes as big a jump as I think he can from last year to this year, I think he's capable of taking as big a jump to the next level if he gets it right, and most of it's conditioning based. Good?
Yeah.